Hello and welcome to Boring Dad Gaming, where today I'm going to be taking another look at a game I've previously featured on the channel. This is Sovereign Syndicate. This is the demo version, the latest demo version, which the developers have updated for the PAX East event that's taking place currently, I believe. They got in touch with me just to see if I'd be willing to replay it on the channel. I said, yeah, great. Apparently they've updated the graphics somewhat, they've added UI elements. I had a quick look and it looks like they've added some sort of tutorial stuff that wasn't present when I did it previously. So quite excited to dive back in and take another look. Let's start a new game. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is a role-playing game. It's inspired by games such as Disco Elysium and Arcana of Steamworks and Magic Obscura, sort of way back in the day. Which means it's it's very story rich. It's got a lot of dialogue. There's a certain amount of speaking with your elements of your psyche, like internal monologue and dialogue and stuff. That's quite fun. So yeah. I was very excited by this when I played it previously. I'm very much looking forward to it coming out on full release at some point. I don't think there's a release date yet, but hopefully soon. And yeah, let's carry on. So this is Atticus Daley, our playable character for this demo. He's a minotaur. He's exploring the seedy underbelly of London's East Docklands in search of his mother, a reason for living, and his next fix. So we can choose 4 archetype stroke playstyles, and the game does allow some flexibility there. We can so if we just click on this one, we can see Animal Instinct, blaming his fiery temper on his minotaur blood. He embraces intimidation in combat, swearing he has a handle on his vices. So this is very much a physical class. So Animal Instinct is sort of the attribute we'll use for strength checks, fighting, that kind of thing, intimidation. So we sort of have got higher value in that. But with all of these, Animal Instinct, spryness is kind of more of a dexterity build thing, and wit is kind of like a charisma build, like an intelligence stroke charisma build. You'll be doing a lot of conversation checks and stuff. So it's this build is very low in that. But in this game, you level these up as you use them. So even if you choose an archetype here, it's kind of your starting position. It's not finalized by any means. You might find that as you play, actually your style evolves, and you start, maybe you start as thinking you're a physical character, but actually you end up doing a lot more sort of thinking and persuasion than you were expecting. So that's cool. Each of these builds comes with what's called a major arcana. So in this game, you have skill checks like other RPGs, like Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, but instead of dice rolls, you have card checks. I was going to say card rolls, but that's not correct. So you have like a difficulty class that you have to beat, and you pull cards to see if you can do so with your various modifiers and stuff. And these major arcana sit within your card decks to give little perks and stuff. So with this build, all skill checks from this deck will be drawn with 1 card revealed. I think that's a very strong one, because you can see that it's either high or low, potentially, which would very much help you pass the skill checks. Spryness, as we said, that's more of a dexterity build. As a magician, he's trained in escape tricks and sleight of hand, light-footed and nimble for a minotaur. His arcana is that while bound, all skill checks are drawn with an additional card, so that's okay. It's quite good at fine motor checks. Wit, so rationality suits him in a world that is unforgiving. He meets challenges with a silver tongue and understands basic machinery. His major arcana is the Hermit, so all skill checks draw 1 fewer card to a minimum of 1. I guess that minimises or lessens your chance of picking a low card, so maybe that's the benefits of that one. I think that one, perhaps the benefits are slightly less clear. And self-discipline. He grew up in a crowded orphanage, using illusory magic to disguise himself as human. He moderates his urges and keeps a cool head. Temperance. While bound, the Fool's value is now 15. So the Fool is like a Joker card. Its value is 0. So I think it's not an automatic fail if you draw it, but it's like a critical fail. I think if you already have modifiers and a base skill that means you pass the check anyway, you do still pass it, but otherwise it's you're failing. But its value is now 15, but it no longer shuffles your deck when drawn. So again, and the shuffle is good because it means you've drawn a lot of high cards. You can sort of refresh them and have them available for future skill checks. I'm leaning towards a wit play. There is a lot of talking in this game. There's a decent bit of persuasion and stuff happening, so we actually get a persuasion perk on this character. So let's do this. We're going to be a thinking minotaur. A dark shape looms over you. Against the guttering lamplight, the black-shadowed form hovers unsteadily like a cutout in a magic lantern. You can't be sure whether it's a real living thing or another grim manifestation from your week-long bender, which at first blush you appear to have survived. Or is it the face of death come to claim you? In any case, the spectre seems to be in no hurry to move along. Painful memories prick your gin-addled brain. Now you recall why you're here. You chose this alleyway in London's East End to drown the last of your days in drink. Well, if this apparition isn't the angel of death, then even at suicide you have failed. Cheery little beginning for us there. We're down on our luck, it seems.
Atticus, he's coming! Wake up!
Whoa, get out of my head, you old crone.
Atticus Daley. So, like Disco Elysium, are different psyche elements, and there's less in this. There's 4 elements that we'll see. Each speak in your mind. So self-discipline here. How are we going to do this? I'll voice them in slightly different ways to the main character. How does he know my name? His voice is cold and mechanical, like the hinge of a heavy iron door, concealing his identity, no doubt. So we've got a constitution check here. Try to speak. So we've got a 66% chance of passing this. So we've got a choice of 2 cards. Usually there would be more, but this is, I think, as our... If we look at our tarot deck, actually, we can see that the Hermit... Oh, it's actually applied to our blue deck, our wit deck. So I wonder why we've only got 2 choices there. Anywho, I'll pick this one. Oh, we failed. We needed a 5. Trying to speak, my throat just catches on dry breath. Oh, instead of a response, he proffers me a tin-stippled flask. A small kindness. Let's take it eagerly. I'd been hoping for the hair of the dog, but alas, it's only the chloric bite of London tap water. 10 vigour. So vigour is our health. So he's given us a sip of water, and it's improved our health somewhat. Better than a parched mouth, at least a bit restorative. Stowing the flask, the stranger leans back into the dim light of the gas lamps. Oh, I can finally see his features in full. He wears a brass button... Oh, this self-reflection, what was that? He wears a brass button travelling waistcoat, complete with a scarlet hood and a mask of ornate gold panels. It glitters in the gaslight, delicately crafted. Finery like I've never seen. On your feet now, you sorry sight. Dizzy from the head rush, it's hard to keep my balance.
Now, who are you, and what do you want with me?
A friend in need of your services. A friend, but a man of his station so deep in the Docklands spells trouble. Misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows.
Oh, I need a moment to get my bearings.
Fair enough, but I'll be watching. Spryness.
The stranger pulls back his waistcoat, showing off a gilded flintlock pistol.
So one other thing to note, in the dialogue here, you have these sort of yellow terms, which are usually either historical terms or it's set in Victorian times, so sort of, colloquialisms that would have been used at the time. So in this one, under animal instinct, who's going to be a bit gruffer, I suppose.
Over the years, many a minge bag have come to collect. This balmy naff is no different.
So minge bag means a despicable person. Yeah, so if you hover over these, it'll tell you kind of what they denote. So balmy, crazy mad, and naff, someone lacking taste or style or tacky.
So many outstanding debts and forgone second chances. Is it all catching up to me?
We're a wit class, so let's lean into this.
No matter, let it be tonight then.
So you'll see that we gained a black bile here, and what this relates to is our 4 attributes, if you like, called humours here. So animal instinct we've seen come up in the conversation. So as you use them in conversation, you'll get points that put into this little thing here. And when we get to 10 out of 10, we'll level up that skill or ability or attribute, which will give us 3 options to... we can either increase the base value, add towards one of these perks, or we can get a new major tarot. We'll see what happens soon enough. Got quite high wit. See, that's where our black bile goes. So we've gained 1 out of 10 of that now. Self-discipline, 1 out of 10. We've obviously used that. And spryness is still at 0. Self-reflection is sort of details of ourself. I won't read through all of that right now, though.
Come now, surely things aren't so dire.
So this old crone, she isn't one of our attribute voices. She's not part of our psyche, but we have been given a task relating to her. So find out who the crone is before she drives you mad. The chatter of my mind is enough by itself, and now there's a crone chiming in. What is she doing here, and how did she get in my head?
It's up to me, seeing every impulse to an outcome, snuffing out the pleasures of life should I so desire. All I need is peace and quiet, a place to clear my mind.
Not sure if it's peaceful or quiet, but behind that padlocked door you might at least escape the stranger.
So the crone was referring to this padlocked door here. So we can, the game will probably tell us in a minute anyway, I believe it does, but we have, by holding down tab, we can sort of highlight interactable things. We've got a cane sword here, we'll take that. An evening cane concealing a steel blade in a cherrywood sheath. Below the brass figurehead is a band of crushed velvet. Battle-scarred with a well-worn handle. And suitable in aristocratic circles. Let's take it with us. So we have an inventory here. We can't really interact with stuff in here so much. Like, we'll find stuff that will say, oh, you can use this for, or this might have a healing effect. But actually, I haven't found a way to actually interact with that. But let's look at the newspaper. The Illustrated London News, this week's edition. A fleet-footed journalist takes to the East End, underground and undercover. The hard-boiled scoop on the courtesan killer. Who's really behind the murders? And what is Scotland Yard still hiding from the public? Read on for the gory details. This story will boil your blood. Onto the news. So, the voices in your head are at odds. When you choose one voice over another, this imbalances the humours. Over time, these voices can become emboldened, increasing your skills. So again, we've taken a wit choice, which has increased our black bile.
As is the job, I suppose.
But it's a shame. No one deserves to die like that.
It's true, and I've kept their company before. It could have been an acquaintance of mine.
We've got a phlegm for that. Ariana?
It's entirely possible.
Dolly, short for Dolly Mob, a prostitute. Dolly's being hunted. It is rather curious. We'll investigate the murders.
I'm no police special, but I'll see what I can find.
So we'll have a little, we'll just check our journal again. We've got another task now, which is to the case of the courtesan killer. Whoever's killing the courtesans has to be stopped. To protect her workers, Madame Zora might speak more freely than usual. Question her at the Velvet Rose. Any one of her clients could be a suspect. So we don't have access to that yet. So, in this demo, I mean. So that's obviously something we'll be able to do a bit later. We've got some liquor bottles here. Geneva, which is a Dutch spirit distilled from malt wine and flavoured with juniper. Rotgut, which I think we know, it's a poor quality liquor. And dry gin bottles are strewn about, broken and empty. Remnants of another night drowned in sorrow.
Huh. Looks to me like a night well spent.
That's a deal of liquor, but a minotaur takes double to ride the same carriage.
Speaking of which, let's see if there's more.
We have a recollection check. 97% chance of passing. Unless we get a minus value on our check, we will be passing it. I'll just read how the game explains this minor tarot. The tides of fate push and pull at you. When you make a skill check, you will draw a card from one of the 4 minor arcana decks. When no cards remain in a deck, the card deck will be shuffled. So yes, we saw it briefly, but here is our tarot decks. So we have one related to self-discipline, one related to spryness, the yellow one is related to animal instincts, so physical stuff, and the blue one is related to wit checks. So we're doing a recollection check on wit, so we've got a blue deck to choose from. Let's choose this. We've only got a 3, but we've got more than enough to pass the check, so that's good.
Aha, saving the best for last, a bottle of Old Tom.
Yes, we've got, so in our inventory now, we've got a bottle of Old Tom. Label reads, a feast for the finest palate, sheer bottled health for your indulgence. And although it says that, I've never been able to raise my health by using it. So what we're going to do, we'll do what the crone said first then. We'll go into this padlocked area. A heavy door that's blocking my escape from the stranger. There's an oxidized chain and a padlock over the hasp. Should be a soft job, so long as this lock isn't rusted through. So we have a choice of approach. So fine motor, we'd have a 66% chance. Brute force, a 78% chance, in fact.
Oh, let's break the damn thing.
Go this one. 4. I think that's okay. Yeah, just enough.
That'll do. I wonder where it leads.
Away from that stranger is enough for me. The passage is lined with stone walls, damp from the evening fog and the underground steam boiler used to heat the tenements above. Barrels line the walls and seem to occupy every available space in this underground storeroom. Cane rats scurry and squeak in the corners, kneading at their nests. The air is stagnant, full of dust and mould. A ways off there's the sound of a pump house at work, no doubt channeling sewage into the Thames. There's a dim light ahead. Perhaps you can find help, or at least a way out of the stranger's grasp.
On your guard now, there's no telling what's down here.
I've seen the worst of the underground in my days. If trouble comes, I've got my blade and a silver tongue.
So in this area in the demo, there is a fair amount to do, but essentially, come the end of this area, we'll find out it's a dead end and have to retrace our steps anyway. It is a reasonably long demo. I think you could spend at least an hour and a half, possibly even a couple of hours exploring everything and trying everything. But to keep the length of this video down a little bit, I'll just sort of pick and choose a little bit as to what I do. So this won't be an exhaustive look at this area. But yeah, we'll start by talking to the sleeping thug. A 30-something cove writhing on the cobbles must have had his fill. If he was on guard, easy now to get by him.
Or bash his head in. Might be safer that way.
Ah,
Nah, but he's harmless. Shit could be on reason. Besides, maybe I know him.
can't say I remember his face, but there's one thundering night terror he's having.
Anything in his pockets?
Fine motor, it's a very hard check, so we can't pass. We have a 16% chance of passing that, so probably not. Or self-discipline.
On second thought, I've been there. Wouldn't want my pockets picked while I'm sleeping off a bender.
He's a gin bibber like me. We're of a piece. I won't pick a pocket that's cut from the same cloth, and there's bound to be something else nearby, free for the taking. Right, let's have a look at this wooden coffer. My last playthrough, I think I was a Sprinus character and I was able to pick his pockets, so that's how the different playthroughs and archetypes can affect your game. Red cedar panelled and cornered with iron, a sturdy but time-worn container.
No need to break into everything. What am I? Minotaur or magpie?
Brute force, 39%. Wit.
Rooting in rubbish with hopes for a little tin, just like my scavenging days.
Diamonds in the coal and flash in the cobbles. That's the old limerick the urchins would sing.
The only sounds are the dripping pipes, the scurrying of rats and the gears in your skull, spinning out the past. Christ, and a high wheel, would you open a box already?
We could give it a go. We don't have a particularly high chance of doing this, so we'll give it a go. This one. That's low, so that's a fail. Okay, introducing us to life and death. Your nerve and vigour represent how healthy and motivated you are to continue. If they are ever reduced to 0, your story will end. So we've lost some health, and yeah, 5 vigour we've lost. There are ways to increase it through some dialogue choices and stuff. Well, both of them, in fact. Sprinus.
As I strike the lock, a jagged piece of rust drives into my skin. Ugh, that'll leave a mark, but I've suffered far worse. Can't say much for whatever's inside, except it's mouldy and all but forgotten.
Trousers with a bib sewn across and a pulley zipper fastening. The head torch runs on a copper core battery. There's boots and breeches, and the waistcoat has enough pockets to carry a dining set. To be sure, it's a Sandhog uniform. Sandhog is a construction worker in the underground tunnels. I normally try and put this disguise on. I'm actually going to say leave it this time. Leave it.
I'll not play the fool and stretch it out.
Because it's not actually needed for what we're going to do. So there's a manhole cover here. Again, it's a bit of a skill thing, so we'll have a look. A disc of wrought iron loosened by a crack.
Could be somebody's hiding place.
Aye, but the cover's bull heavy. 4% chance of forcing it, so
Better off finding a tool to get this open.
So we come over to this mouldy crate. A battered crate mouldering in sewer grime. Much higher chance of smashing this open, brute force. Oh, it's failure. Why is that one upside down, I wonder? Minus 88 on that check because of that.
A well-aimed fist cracks open the crate.
Oh, this is surprise.
A well-aimed fist cracks open the crate, but a hobnail gashes my wrist on the way out.
We've lost even more health.
It's nothing but a scratch. The real trouble is the rising dust.
Oh, don't cough. Someone will come and beat the bushes. Alright, constitution check. 75%. Here we go. We got it this time. 12.
Easy now. In through the nostrils. Any more looting like this and I'll need a face mask. If I meet another minotaur, they might have a spare. Good lot of us live in the underground. Enough rumination. Let's see what's in the crate. Can't hardly see what I'm reaching for, but here goes.
Nothing in here but a cold piece of metal.
Oh, it's a pry bar. This'll do for that manhole cover.
Right, so let's go back to the manhole cover now with the pry bar in hand. And see what we can do here.
I've got a tool to open this. It's a heavy bugger, even with a tool.
So we could find motor, 84% chance of success, or brute force, 0% chance of success. It checks too high. We'll try find motor then. Only a 3, but it's enough. We only needed 2, so that's fine.
Bully, that steel bar was the ticket. I just need a little leverage.
There's a latched compartment below the manhole cover, but it's padlocked too tightly to break. That's a capital lock. I'll need a key. Keep looking, I guess.
There has to be something here. My fumbling hands come up empty.
I've reached the back in the corners before, and I know I'll lose more health if I do that, so...
There's nothing here but the cache I can't open. I'll have to come back with a key or blasting cap.
I don't really feel like I can lose any more health after missing both those checks previously.
Watch it. There's somebody on the stairs.
With that head torch, he could be on patrol, and I don't suppose he takes kindly to strangers.
I don't need to hide from anyone.
His face is filthy, mud-streaked and unshaven, and the lamp on his helmet is near as bright as daylight down here.
He smells worse than the sewer walls. Must be a bilgeman.
Oi, what's a bovine doing down this way? You better scram before I call the hounds.
That's a local gang, I believe.
You're trespassing.
Tell the truth, it'll scare him. I'm running from a bounty hunter. Mortally unpleasant fellow, if you catch my meaning.
Fear of life loss, common excuse.
For my sake, I wish it were otherwise.
It would explain your disposition in tattered waistcoat. What's the idea of having such finery only to let it run to rags?
Couldn't point to any one reason. You know how it is.
Oh, I've been there. Anyway, I'm too busy to riddle with queer folk, even if they're trespassing.
Not among your duties, eh?
No chance. Now, here's my advice if you're really on the run. Someone left an old uniform in the coffer upstairs next to the bloke supposed to be guarding the entrance. Comes with a head torch, and the one thing you need down here is light. Might make for a clever disguise.
Not a bad idea. Sure it'd keep me safer.
Aye, but you know what's out of pattern? I'm never so cheeky with a fellow I haven't met, but there's something flash about you. Any road, better get back to work.
Right, I'm not going to go back for the disguise. I kind of want to see what happens if I don't take it. There's a steamer trunk here, but we can't open it without a key, we discover.
Speak up. Who disrupts the air?
I'm a famous magician, but in the underground you mustn't have heard of me.
I love magic. Whenever I bend the heat to a proper boil, sometimes I fancy myself a firemancer. My name's Hera.
The letters H-E-R-A are blazoned on its chest plate. You can ask about that acronym.
H-E-R-A. What does it stand for?
Heat Energy Regulation Automaton. The latest iteration.
Hera, wife of Zeus. Any case, it suits you.
I'm thrilled to hear it. Now, can I help you? I should get back to the flame.
Keeping the fire stoked, I see. Do you enjoy it?
I delight in my work. I was made for it, and this boiler provides heat for the Sherlock tenements upstairs. The sweated labourers, resting toasty for my efforts. It's a fuzzy, warm static feeling.
Feelings, eh? Ain't they for the blooded and lung driven, eh?
That's quite an opinion. Now, what else can I do for you? Ask about the barrels.
These barrels along the walls, what are they filled with?
Oh, well, they're full of gin. The hounds are distilling it with the heat from my boiler, and somehow the Sherlock tenements upstairs haven't caught on.
Those people must be freezing. It's only autumn now, but it feels like midwinter. Outright shameful, but the hounds have a vice grip. A lot of my ilk came up from those tenements. The hounds might be bargained with. It's not as if the public houses will run dry.
Oh, we'll have a deal of persuasion on our hands.
We're going to come out.
How do I get out of here, aside from turning back?
Over there is a grate that leads to the sewers. Barring that, nowhere else to go but the way you came.
Fair enough. We're going to go to the sewers, have a quick look around there. Edging through the grate, you're greeted by the droning sound of rushing water and a smell that's near unbearable, hanging in the air so thick you can almost taste it. Hooves are clumsy in the dark as you stumble along the passageway, the sound of water flow and machinery echoing off the bricks from all directions, a meshing of gears that's familiar but unsettling. Following the light, you come into a torchlit chamber, but it seems you're not alone. Notes of troubled voices peek over the noise, an air of indignance and irritation, but also of fear and desperation. Something's not right here. You've stumbled on an argument, no doubt, but worse than that is a deep foreboding. Something else shares these sewers, a deeper evil crawling through the bowels of London. So yes, there's a few things to do down here, but I'm going to sort of pick and choose a little bit as to what I do. So I think we can't really... Well, we probably could avoid this guy. There's an argument going on that we're going to intervene in. So let's crouch down behind this barrel and see what's going on. A barrel perches on the ledge while the argument rages. Looks like it could come to blows at any moment.
I can hide up here and watch the dispute.
Alright, we'll eavesdrop.
Alright, let's have a listen.
You'll pad me pockets until I say die.
Gaunt-faced and lanky, he's clearly a human, but his yellow eyes would fit within the face of a reptile. His waistcoat and worsted trousers are torn and sullied, but his white silk string tie is spanking new.
He's dogging this poor girl for capital. Only a ladsman would stoop so low, and if so, then she must be a cut purse.
I'm sick of stealing and I'm sore of begging all the more. It's shameless.
The sandy-haired girl wears a frayed wool jumper and a gentleman's duster, short at the hem to account for her stature.
Ungrateful nipper, you bite the hand that feeds.
What have you fed us but lies? Try and take what little tin I have, but you'll have to get past my stiletto.
Pity, but the odds are in his favour. The poor girl's got strapping tape holding her boots together.
Alright, we're going to head downstairs and break it up.
I'm too far off to be of service from here. Better go downstairs and break this up.
We'll let this patrolman go past. We can talk to him and talk our way past, but we can also evade him.
They're still arguing, but move any further and they'll notice me. There's a door just beyond where they're standing. That'd be one way to escape this ruddy mess. I'll have to face him sooner or later. He looks ready for a fight.
How spry am I? Not very. It's my lowest stat. So... let's do...
I'll wait for the right moment. No need to flash the steel if I don't have to.
I know how to settle this. How about an inside tip? You know I'm well in with the oddsman.
The girl spots me but doesn't give a sign. Whoever this chap is, there's plainly no love lost between them.
Keep your crooked tips. You were supposed to shelter us, pay us and protect us. Now the better part of our band has disappeared and you know nothing of it. Piss on your pit fights. There's a future for me beyond London.
You're right about one thing. You make a better wastrel than a thief. But I'll give it a week before you turn on your heels and come running home.
Home to what? Barmy old codger who drinks away the tin I could have saved? I'm bound for the country and no one's going to stop me.
Stupid girl, the only way you'll ever leave London is cut to pieces and floating down the Thames.
She flashes her eyes at me. Some kind of signal? Combativeness, we have a 50% chance of killing him immediately, or self-discipline, he doesn't have to die. We've chosen a whip build, so let's try and talk our way out of it.
He doesn't have to die. Oi, you there.
Atticus Daley, what in the blazes are you doing here?
Oh, he's gone very posh, isn't he?
Atticus Daley, what in the blazes are you doing here?
I'd love to catch up, but I'm busy with this urchin. He knows my face. Have I met him before? Ooh, a bit of recollection. It's very low chance of success, though. It's a 30 difficulty class.
Yeah, it's no important. If I ever met him, he wasn't worth remembering. I can't hold on to every last memory. Now, what shall I do with him?
Persuasion. I was hoping for an easier check there. We've only got a 46% chance of success, but intimidation we have a 0% chance of success. Let's engage in conversation a bit.
How do you know my name?
Oh, scroll up a little bit to get that.
You don't remember? Years ago, you and I were in a band of pickpockets. I taught you the ropes in exchange for the vig.
What's the vig? Vigorish, a deduction of winnings paid to an organiser, often a loan shark.
But you moved on to those petty magic shows, and as I hear it, head bashing on the side for the hounds. Typical minotaur. Stupid as a post, only good for muscle.
I remember now, and you haven't changed a bit, still taking money off the profits of children. How about some sympathy? We used to be just like her.
You're out of line trying to tell me how to operate. I'll stick to your you stick to your thuggish ways and I'll stick to mine.
Neither one of you can tell me how to live. Hideous men have been trying all my life. As for you, Carlyle, there's something you don't know, and without me you'll never hear it.
Malarkey, you're just trying to distract me.
Listen, it could save your life. The Don has your number.
Okay. Even if she's lying, he might still believe it. Not the sharpest bolt in the bucket.
Struth, your very leader, with a mind to have you coshed. Say what you said you have one last chance, and otherwise, on Hallows Eve, he'll carve you like a pumpkin. Scoop out your faculties and have himself a jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern? Jack-a-nori.
Cockney rhyming slang indicating disbelief.
The Don has done far worse, even to his friends. For your sake, I hope you'll believe me.
Don't count on it, but I do pity your desperation. So what about this last chance?
We all know how you bungled the deliveries to Mr. Klein. Fell so far behind you might never catch up. No wonder you're trying so hard to round us up. And if you took Bertram, I'm not going out like him.
You accusing him of kidnapping?
You filthy gutter snipe. How did you know?
I keep an ear to rumours on the street, which I never learned from you. You play stupid, but only because you have to.
Enough of this. First I'll tear... Oh, he's gone posh again. Enough of this. First I'll tear this tosser apart, then I'll fix the girl.
I'll need my blade, if only to defend myself.
Oh God, we got some tough checks here. Well, talking our way up didn't particularly work then, did it? Alright, duck his blow. No. Oh, I lost 10 vigour.
That one really hurt, but don't let him know it.
We can do this.
Keep fighting. Is that your best? I barely even felt it.
Got to attack him. We've got a 21% chance. Oh God. This one. Nope. We were one off. He's quick enough to step back before I can strike.
You clumsy brute. You nearly nicked my waistcoat.
He's ready to spill blood. What's my next move?
Now our chances have gone up slightly on this one. Let's strike first with a 40% chance of success. Nope. Drew a 1. Ugh. Try again, we've got a 50% chance. Nope. Maybe we can keep doing this until we get rid of all our low cards. We're going to do that again. Yes. Okay, what happens?
The ladsman staggers back with a murderer's look in her eye. The cutpurse dashes her blade.
Dashes with her blade.
Dear Christ, I'm wounded, cut to the bone and backstabbed. I'll pay you anything. Just fetch a physician.
Let's ask the girl.
What should we do with him?
Revenge is always better served cold. Let's see if a doctor can't save him. Meanwhile, I'll plan for his lasting punishment.
I'll let you handle it. You know him better.
Oh, but you were right, little miss. No need to seek me out. I've learned my lesson well enough.
I'll be asking after you. For now, just run along if you still can.
Oh, yes, little miss. I'll see a sore bones and have him stitch me up.
Led it straight to confessional. Penance for every crime, I can promise you that. Didn't think you'd ever sound more pitiful, but here we are.
The ladsman gets to his feet and hobbles out of sight.
Thanks for your assistance.
One less double-dealing scoundrel. Glad to be rid of him.
My name's Annika. Annika Johansson.
Pleased to be acquainted. I'm Atticus Daley.
That miserable lout did show us how to make a living, but with the years I've grown wiser. There was never any future for us, so I've got a mind to take on with the travelling circus. They ferry the Channel and tour all of Europe.
Spryness. I loved the circus when I was a young runaway. I was smaller then, and I snuck in through the back fence where the animals were kept.
I'm not sure if I love it, but it seems to be a way out.
What was your talent then?
Throwing knives.
Where the wheel is spun and a living target is successfully avoided. What about London? What are you leaving behind?
There's nothing for me here now.
A sadness in her voice like heavy rain at sea, damp and in the bones.
I practiced my knife tricks with Bertram till he disappeared, and now I don't know whether to stay here and make sure he's alive, or else take the only chance I may ever have to leave the city.
Bertram, close friend?
My best in the city, and if he's alive I'd like to say goodbye. Of course there are many ways to say goodbye, but I can't be sure my letters from abroad will ever reach him.
Let's encourage her to get closure. If you don't get to the bottom of it, you might regret it forever. Advice I should have taken myself. That's right, there was a woman once.
Oh, with black bars level up. So mint conversation, we can actually go into this and level up our staff. So let's do that. So yeah, as I said, we can level up our wit by 1. We're already pretty high. Add 3 to our persuasion check, which is pretty good. Or add temperance to our major arcana. So we've got, that's the one about the fool value being 15. I'm going to actually take the persuasion check boost here, I think. So our persuasion's pretty high now, 26 in total. That's our base plus our modifier. How close are we getting with the others? We're pretty close on yellow, green, not so close on red. When I was living in Galway.
It's burned in my memory. I couldn't trust that city anymore and I had to leave.
She understood. She said she'd come to London some day to find you. But I'm not so easy to get hold of, especially when I'm street swallowed for weeks.
If she kept her promise, she could be in the city now. What's the harm in keeping an eye out? Alright, it's a goose chase, but if it's going to make you shut up, then I promise to look for her.
So it's added a task to our journal, I think.
Sir, you were drifting off there?
Only a momentary lapse, I assure you.
I know it's a lot to ask, but is there a chance you'd help me find Bertie? He went missing along with his sister Julie.
Alright. I'm not sure what help I can be, but I'll do my best.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Daley. It isn't much, but take these cogs for your troubles.
Kindness from a stranger. It's given her a hope she hadn't bargained for.
I'll see what I can find for myself, and then I'll meet with you and we can share some information, like police specials.
I'm not a blue bander. Can't stand him, in fact. But if that's how you want to see it, sure.
It's wonderful having your help. Bertram and I were living down here, but now the water's too high to get to our hidey hole. But with so many of us going missing, I'd better move on anyway.
What about that hidey hole?
We had a little safe house behind the retaining wall, but now with the pump house being serviced, the water's too high to get there. But I can't afford to wait around. If not Carlisle, some other bastard's on my trail.
I'll see about draining the water.
Thanks, but who knows where I'll be by that time. You're welcome to anything we left in there. It won't be safe for me to come back for it. Who knows where I'll end up, but maybe you have an address?
Take my visiting card if you need to get in touch. I'm not often home, but you can always leave a message with Aunt Selina in the shop below my quarters.
Of course, Mr. Daley. Together I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of this.
So have a quick look at our journal. We've got quite a few tasks in there now. We've got it's the courtesan killer still. In the case of the missing orphans now. Children are going missing. Find out what's happening. We got the cut purse out of harm's way. We still have a thing to deal with him, though. I wonder if maybe they just don't disappear, the tasks. It is crossed through. Let's go over here and have a look. So we've got this locked door. A monstrous door of high carbon steel. No way through without a key or an explosive.
Bell end. If only it was open.
Got a yellow bile level up.
Must lead to an even murkier chamber. Dreary and dangerous.
Just my cup of tea. Actually, I'm going to go Spryness because we need to level up that a bit more.
Treacherous, no doubt, but also full of intrigue.
Ah, we got 10 nerve for that, so we've added a bit to our blue level.
Ah, that's the ticket.
No escape from the stranger this way. You'll need a key for the door.
So we've leveled up our animal instinct, so let's do that. We can increase by 1, that's an option. I mean, we are only at 12. Brute force checks, we get an additional +3. We've had quite a few of those. Well, the chariot. All skill checks from the deck this card is bound to will be drawn with 1 card revealed. I think that would really help us pass some of these checks, because we've only got 2 cards. If we're revealing one of them, that's pretty good, isn't it? So where should we put that? I'll stick it on red for now. We can mix things up. We'll see how we go with that. So where's that? Oh, I'm going to stay out of his way, I think. And then we'll go up and back out. I mean, there's a whole thing with the pump house up here, but aside from a conversation and a bit of extra info about the argument we've already dealt with, there isn't a huge lot you can do there. I mean, there is the potential for it. I think that's where we have to do something to lower the water level and get in that hidey hole mentioned. But from what I can tell, that's not possible to do in this demo. Likely, we've got to go to another area in the full game and maybe get something. The crank that sort of lowers the water level is locked at the moment. Oh well, we're not getting past this guy. A patrolman up ahead. Steady your breathing. Don't flex a muscle. Who's that creeping in the shadow light? State your business. If not a single lens on his mask, then it's the preternatural length of his arms and legs. A cyclops with a pike spade. Standard issue for sewer work. This area's off limits, and besides, you're not dressed for it. Dangerous for a layman like you. 0% chance of intimidation. Spryness, apologise. Pardon the intrusion, sir. I'm just looking for the way out. No way out but the way you came. Oh, we could ask about draining the water there. Do you know how to bring the water down a bit? Ha! Even if I did, I couldn't do anything with the pump house out of order. Right then. You won't have to scrub my blood from the cobbles. I should hope not. That's a job for a bilgeman anyhow. Yeah, so he didn't know how to... We can double click to move a bit faster, incidentally. So, yeah, so I think eventually, if in the full game, we'd be able to come back and do something there, but not currently, so we won't worry too much about that. The end of your escape route came as an iron door. There's nothing for it now but to face the music and hope that ruddy stranger has it in him to spare you. Clouded and socked in again by the dust, it's hard to imagine a strategy that amounts to more than impulse. Armed as he is, you'll have to get your hands on his weapon. No mean feat, even if you were in top condition. Part of you wants to resign to your fate, to fall asleep without a care of ever waking up. Climbing the steps and sliding through the grate, you're blasted again with the heat of the furnace. A life spent sleeping on the cobbles, adrift. You're used to being shocked by the facts of your environment. It's up to you. Give up the ghost to the stranger, or convince him that you still have a reason for living. Right, so we're just gonna backtrack all the way. So there's a steamer trunk here. I think we didn't actually find out about that barrel. I don't think we asked about it, but there is gin in there. We'll take the gears and cogs though. That kind of is a bit of currency. Might be useful. Yeah, so we meet a guy we can sell those to and get some money for them. Let's go. There was no escape in the sewers, only more danger you've narrowly dodged. But it's nothing so ghastly as what might become of you at the hands of the stranger. You hardly ever see a handheld firearm in the Docklands. That means he's come from afar to track you down, and he won't give up easily. And what of this old crone mumbling in your mind? Will another gin slumber put a seal on her words, or is she now more than a figment? Is she in step with your pulse and your heartbeat, so deeply rooted you might never escape her raspy chattering? By the break of morning you should have some answers, but until then you stumble on the cobbles half-woken, the hangover clawing your skull like a prisoner in bondage. Right, so let's go and meet the stranger. We'll take a quick trip up the street. I've got some more gears and cogs. We have an electric fence here. We'll take a look at it. But again, it's something that looks like in the full game we'll be able to do something with, but currently in this demo, not really. Military grade, reinforced with barbed wire. The sign reads, Werewolf Containment Zone, in luminescent paint. Electric bolts arc between the fence posts, the smoky ozone scent flooding your nostrils. The moon won't be full for another 2 nights. It might be safer inside instead of at the whim of this stranger in his brocade waistcoat. So we have a mechanisms check, 82%. That's quite good, actually. Say that we're going to charge through it. We'll take a look at the mechanisms check. No harm in a look. Alright, no. 14, there we go. Passed it easily. Silk-wrapped cables running into a switch box. That must be the power source. I'm no engineer, but I might be able to power down the fence from that switch box. Well, without wanting to provide too many spoilers, that's not actually possible in this demo. We can get in there, but he eventually realises that you can't really do very much with it. So again, got the feeling of something we'll be able to do a little bit more within the full game. Got some more gears and cogs here. But the stranger's down here. Let's go talk to him. He's waiting with a cold stare and a hand on his flintlock.
All done mucking around down there. About time.
How do you know that? The smell, most likely. Oh, you smell it on me.
You might say.
He's hiding something. Perhaps a mystical talent not unlike my own.
Right then, you ruddy sight. Let's get going. We'll need you batting on a full wicket.
Full capacity, a phrase from the game of cricket.
Shall I let him ragdoll me around East London?
Got a very low chance of coordination check. So I think we'll just go along with him.
He could put a bullet through my heart in a half moment. Now's not the right time to challenge him. I must gather my strength.
I'm glad we understand each other. Come on then.
I didn't even say that out loud. No question about it. He's reading my thoughts.
Got a persuasion check that we should be able to pass.
Where are you taking me?
Somewhere you'll be more comfortable.
I'd rather not suffer any more than I have to, but at some point you'll tell me what you're planning.
There's no time for dawdling.
Bell end, he hasn't got any conscience.
If it seems like London left you behind, humour me for the evening. Otherwise I'll deliver the bounty on your head, and I won't have wasted any time.
So we're going off with him. Your headache rages with a fierce second wind, and every step is a hammer and nail in your psyche. The stranger's reckless pace only makes matters worse, his arm like a vice grip, dragging you down a miasma of twisted alleyways until at last a string of paper lanterns appears. Boys in a sickening sea of night, the cherry glow of Red Lantern Lane. Within waves of jasmine and sandalwood incense, memory washes fear away. This might be the only place that could convince you to keep on living, even just for a night. The gas mantle above the door fills you with fondness, cleansing the rust of your mind-gouging hangover. You've arrived at the Red Lotus Den, the only place you've ever felt at home. No need to be pulled along now. You go willingly inside.
Happy now?
Body aches, persistent nausea. From a physical standpoint, I'm barely holding together.
Allow me to rephrase. Have you ever been happy?
We'll try this.
Many years ago.
Nope. Failed so many of these. I've had a playthrough of this demo where I passed most checks. It's just down to luck, clearly.
But it's too far back to recall.
No matter, this fellow is reading my thoughts anyway. Better I avoid private memories.
Withdrawals, they can muddle our heads and make us weak. Don't worry, you'll feel better soon.
So we can go into this changing area and change our appearance. Towels and robes disarrayed in cubbies. Away from prying eyes, a fine place for my illusion. That bouncer at the back bar is a centaur. I'd better look human.
Aye, centaurs don't tend to like minotaurs. Might get his knickers in a twist if he sees one.
Conjuring. 71% chance. Cast our illusion. I'm sort of supposed to... Which deck is it that I'm actually supposed to get reveals on? The red deck. Can I put it here? for this check? No. Okay. What about this? Oh, we passed anyway.
Sight from the fire, hearing from the ether, smell from the air and taste from the water. Touch down to the earth in another form.
Lost some nerve.
Let's play it safe for the time being. No need for any confrontation.
So we've done our little ability that we can do. We can change our appearance to make ourselves look human, and we'll find out exactly how we do that in a bit. A steaming bath awaits your tired bones. Wouldn't it be good to get cleaned up? Take a bath. We got 10 vigour, we got 10 nerve, and a blood level up. Very nice.
How about not smelling like vomit and cane rats? We shan't offend the ladies.
Alright, so let's do that. We'll do the level up first. I don't know why I said first. We'll do the level up. Increase max vigour by 10. I mean, that would be good, except for the fact our vigour's still really low. So, all skill checks are drawn with the lowest value card highlighted. I think that's pretty nice. Let's do that. I probably could have done with a spryness increase, but I do like that Arcana. No, that's not it. Where's my tarot deck? I guess it doesn't really matter, but let's put him on here. Yeah, so the hermit doesn't matter where he goes. It just says all well-bound all skill checks, whereas these ones, this one does say all skill checks, but this one is just the checks from this deck. So that's an important distinction. Some of them affect all skill checks, and some of them just affect the deck they're kind of linked with. Let's talk to the bouncer.
The centaur leers, his misshapen chin of a shelf for a cigarette, jutting from a jangle of bare teeth. His bare chest is stricken with psoriasis, and the scaly rash reddens his pockmarked cheeks.
Didn't see you come in. How can I help?
Entrance to the Lotus, please.
I'll have to check the list. Now, what did Bixby say it was?
Out trots Mr. Browncoat, surely come to see what the fuss is about. He has a distinguished long-faced countenance, sporting a gold pocket watch and a lavender-tinted pince-nez with octagonal frames, settled low on his aquiline nose. Pince-nez. I did used to read it as pince-nez. I don't know why. But a pair of eyeglasses with a nose clip instead of earpieces. Yeah. Despite his careful preening, the turbulence of a life lived in the margins shows on his face.
Oh, now here's Atticus.
He's happy I arrived in human form, although he knows it takes a lot of energy. Glad to see you, Bixby.
And you as well, Atticus. I'm glad to see you brought us a brand new customer. Now then, paradise awaits beyond the curtain. Bixby ushers you through the door and leads the way down the back stairs, the stranger on your heels like a stubborn shadow. The Red Lotus is draped in a haze of pale smoke, dotted with flickering candles and incense glowing like cinders in the night. The smell of burning opium is dark and rich, like a batch of overdone biscuits with a sharp, fishy afterbite. The pale red glow from the Chinese lanterns paints the space in perpetual twilight. It's easy to lose track of time within these walls, whiling away your days in a blissful, waking dream. Okay, we've got the robot there.
What's that gear clattering racket?
A jet of steam cuts through the quiet of the den.
What a curious machine. I wonder how it works.
It's got an arsenal heart drum. That's a top-flight boiler. Bells and socket legs and pressurized feet. There's nothing run-of-the-mill about it. Got +1 to mechanisms for having a look at it. Sorry there, didn't mean to startle you.
Off it goes, heading for the private section.
Sunken pit area. The floor pit has benches with tufted upholstery and pillows costing a halfpenny an hour. It's so late that even the addicts have gone home. Just before sunup is the only time the Red Lotus is empty. So we've got to go through to this back area. Let's go and talk to this dwarf. He's the one who owns the automaton.
Evening, stranger.
Why are all dwarves Scottish? I don't know, but they just are. The dwarf has a warm and amiable look, with a set of crystal blue eyes, sharply intelligent, and a red moustache that is so full it could crawl off his face and build a cocoon.
His beard is elegantly braided in the common style. I finger the brass rings in my own goatee, which is coarse and stringy by comparison. How'd you do? Just fine. Some kind of inventor, are you? Nay, name's Theodore Redgrave, Brotherhood of Boffins. But call me Teddy. Most people do. Boffins, eh? Oh yes, the Royal Society funds all kinds of industrial research nowadays. There's a brotherhood for every branch of science, but I'm with the DA, Division for Automatons. Your automaton, has it got a name? This here is Otto. Doesn't care for strangers, but you can't really blame him. Part of his programming. Stands to reason one must protect himself. Can never be too careful nowadays.
We've got a phlegm level up. Let's do that now. All conjuring skill checks get an additional 3. We haven't done any of those. Oh, here we go. The start. All skill checks are drawn with an additional card. Let's do that. I think that's a good one. Anything that kind of affects all the decks is a pretty good one, I think. Although it does directly... I've just realised it directly contradicts the Hermit, doesn't it? I might even unbind the Hermit. So now we should have 4 cards per skill check. I didn't like the fact it was more of a 50-50 on passing or not. But in both cards might have been a fail in some cases.
It's truth, if I've heard it. What can I call you, sir? Atticus Daley.
Teddy pats the automaton with his fat paw.
Mr. Daley, from the both of us, it's a pleasure. Otto's going to need some tweaks before the brawls, but we'll have him fit as a fiddle by then. Otto's a brawler, eh? So far he's only watched from the sidelines, but someday he'll fight with the other battle traps. See, I'm a hunter of fell beast and monster. After the werewolf fights those outlaw wretches a tatterdemalion.
What does that mean? Beat up and worn out.
Much easier to take him for a bounty. Only 3 days ere the moon is full-bellied. Better have a good mind to who you're betting on. It's quite an occupation. Must never be a dull moment. That's true. I just knew you were a man of culture. Come to think of it, a stature like yours could make for an opportunity. Would you have an interest in joining my docket? I could pay you handsomely, of course. I won't mind getting my knuckles bloody at the right price. Take my visiting card and we'll meet up before the moon is up. Well, I'm pleased to be acquainted. It'll come calling soon. Wait a moment.
If I had a little scrap to sell, would you be interested?
And sure, those cogs are worth a bit sterling.
So we can sell the cogs we collected. I don't know why only 1 was removed. We had a lot more than that.
I have more to sell if you've got more coin.
Oh, I see. We can do it 1 by 1. Let's sell all of ours. I don't really know what they're for apart from selling.
Take care, Teddy.
So in our inventory, it's listed. We've got 5 coins, no cogs. That's fine. It's probably not very much. But let's go and go to our private booth, talk to the stranger. Lattice wooden screens and high-backed seating provide some comfort and privacy for those that can afford it. The booths are made of a luxurious calf leather, well-oiled and plush with dimpled riveting. Delicate china and exclusive menus of the den's offerings are available for those of a more discerning taste.
Seems you're in for a treat on account of the stranger's pocketbook. It's fat as a Christmas goose. Let's make the most of it then.
Still, I'd like to know what his motive is. Why invite me here?
He could have already killed me and collected all my bounty, but he didn't. I guess I should hear him out.
It's worth seeing what he's after.
She's still chiming in as if she had some kind of preferential status. Alright, let's get on with this.
The menu is embossed with an array of oral morphines, liquid and powder cocaines, and all manner of midnight oil. Opium. Teddy seems an interesting chap, and the automaton is quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, an amusing match, but I'm sure you didn't bring me here to discuss the clientele.
We've got plenty of time for explanations. Why don't we start with a sample of some of the den's wares?
Careful now, he's obviously trying to curry favour, although it would be good to loosen up. Nothing too strong, still need to keep my wits about me.
I must say I'm impressed with your discretion. I would have thought just any fix would do.
Thanks, I suppose, but I know it's not from the kindness of your heart.
We'll see if you sing the same tune when it's said and done. Now then, while you think about the entree, I'll prepare the appetizer.
He takes a small tablet out of his shirt sleeve, cracks it in half and drops it into my teacup. The other half goes into his own.
Homemade remedy, eh?
Oh, we've got a bile level up. Let's do that. Again, I think 18 seems pretty good. Pretty good on persuasion. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Why do we do that? Because we'll probably get the Fool at some point. Haven't had it yet, but let's add the Temperance to that deck.
Half and half, an equal dose. I wouldn't kill us both now, would I?
I guess we drink the tea. We've got 20 vigour for that, and 20 nerve. Pretty good.
Well then, cheers to not killing anyone.
The drug tea restores my spirits instantly.
Took me ages to perfect this remedy. I'm not much for cocaine myself, but when it's blended with the turmeric and the resin of myrrh to bind the capsule, that ghastly, teeth-gnashing anxiety's gone, leaving just the euphoria.
Seems this stranger is no stranger to drugs. The pains of my withdrawals are all but absent now.
And for the main course, how about white wind elation? You must be fond of that one.
His light-hearted confidence seems like a front. I get the feeling he knows you better than you're letting on. Sorry, than he's letting on.
Any sort of psychic barrier is useless. The bothersome hag won't leave me be, and here I am face to face with a telepath. The white wind happens to be my favourite, but of course you already knew that.
I know a little something about you, it's true, but it's part and parcel to my profession. I keep tabs on people who pique my interest.
How have you been tracking me?
It wasn't all that difficult. You only have a few haunts.
Oh, well, what is your profession exactly?
Let's just say I look after Her Majesty's interests, with great vigour when they're aligned with my own.
His Majesty, has the Queen taken an interest in me? On with it then. What else do you need to know?
Do you want the particulars, or shall I summarise?
Let's have a summary. You've tried my patience long enough.
Very well. I'd like you to revisit a few memories.
This fellow's lost his mind.
Now then, I know you were raised an orphan, but it's merely an intuition. Oh, sorry. Now then, I know you were raised an orphan. It's merely an intuition, but I think something occurred at the Sacred Heart that you've forgotten. And if you can remember with the help of an opium dream, then the details might lead to your mother.
You're saying she's still alive?
I found her name on a ledger at Bethnal House.
Oh, that's the ticket. My mother's a nutcase. This here is the Lotus, not a bunco parlour.
Bunco being a swindle sort of thing.
Just humour me for a moment. Matilda is, of course, her given name, but how about her family name?
I don't think the sisters at the orphanage ever told me what it was.
But imagine if you could recall Matilda's family name. Then, if it were kept on record at the orphanage, and it matches the ledger at Bethnal House, you could visit the hospital, prove her identity, and by claiming kinship, set her free.
That means digging up memories of the Sacred Heart. Not exactly how I thought the night would unfold. Even if what you describe is possible, why should I want to find her?
Family ties are up to your discretion, of course, and I cannot share my own motivation for the truth.
He's dreadfully opaque, isn't he?
I could never force your hand, but unless you can think back to those troubling times, then you won't be worth more than the price on your head.
He's offering me a chance to live, but only if I can draw up those memories.
So, what'll it be? The dream dose and a voyage between the banks of memory, or the death dose and the end of all your days?
I think we'll take the dream dose. You take the stranger's offer, eager to lose touch with harsh reality. You fall into an opium dream, where the stranger's recent questions about your past remind you of growing up at the Sacred Heart Orphanage. Gauzy light streaks in through a window. You're lying in a musty dormitory bed, and a woman sits beside you. She has a kind smile and mousy brown hair. Heloise Lamel, the only sister at the Sacred Heart who ever pitied you. Heloise is wrapping a bandage around your head, tending to one of the many wounds you sustained while quarrelling with the bellicose children at the orphanage. If Jimmy and his gang weren't hurling stones or insults, they were ignoring you completely. The pain of this unjustified state of affairs is reflected in her teary eyes as she ties off the bandage at the base of your budding horns.
So we're in a bit of a dream sequence now. And this wasn't in the original demo that I played, so this is sort of new territory they've added to the revamped demo that they've put out. The courtyard is nothing but hard-packed sand and scruffy grass. The swing set and the seesaw are aflame with flaky rust, and Heloise watches over the children at play. By this time you were big enough to get as good as you got. Some children were dead set on defending their honour, and the ones who wouldn't fight you insulted you with abandon. Eloise couldn't stand in the way of every scuffle. I had to hold my own, and I thought if I ran away, I could make it on the streets.
Atticus, you'll be 12 years old in a week's time. There's something I need to tell you.
Thanks, but my ears are ringing and I don't feel like listening.
Now, Atticus, let's hear what she has to say.
It's about your mother. I should have told you sooner, but I didn't know how. I'm sorry, Atticus. I wish I'd been more brave.
Well, at least you're telling me now before I quit this place.
The day you arrived, there was a ring wrapped up in your blankets. You're old enough to have it now, and your mother left this too. Somehow I still remember this moment. Heloise handed me an old piece of parchment, a note from my mother.
Can you make out what it says?
No, there's no message. I can't produce the memory.
Not to worry, the truth will come in time.
I'm sorry I kept this from you for so long.
So my mother wrote this. Did she ever come back for me?
She came back half a year later and insisted that you were her child. I believed her because she mentioned the note and produced the exact date you'd been found on the steps.
But why didn't I go with her?
Hush now, Heloise is coming to that.
Just when your mother had signed in at the registry, a horse and buggy drew up outside, and a terrible shout came as someone mounted the steps, bowling over the sister at the door. When the fellow burst in, your mother went stiff as a corpse.
Could it have been my father?
I don't know who he was, but he struck a panic in my heart. As he stalked towards us, there was a malice in his every step, a twitching and insidious man. He took your mother, and she never returned. I forgot about that day for a good reason.
Perhaps the good sister was wrong. You were too young at the time to hear the tale.
Whatever solace Eloise tried to offer, it didn't shake my resolve to run away.
Once I was on the streets. I did search for my mother, but I was more worried about surviving as an urchin. In the end, I decided there was nothing I could do.
Perhaps not then, but this is now. All right, let's move on to the next memory.
I see you've recovered from your latest round of fisticuffs. Anything to say for yourself?
Sometimes it's like I go blind for a few minutes, and when I wake up I'm crying and cut up and everyone's staring at me and laughing.
You poor child, you've suffered enough. It's time you learned what your bloodline is capable of. Must be another ploy to get me to stay, but I'll be 13 in a few months and then I'm running off for good. By now, anyone with eyes knows you're a minotaur. Being singled out, always having insults thrown at you, it's terrible. People are mostly good, but deeply misguided. The bright spot is that being a minotaur comes with the gift of magic, and you can develop your talents if you study the tarot.
She fans out the colourful cards. They seem to buzz with an eerie electricity. Witchcraft! Don't let her corrupt you.
Now that the deck has captured your attention, look closely at this card. The Magician, a symbol of new beginnings. One arm raised to the heavens, the other towards the earth. He is a conduit between the spiritual and material realms.
The Magician transmutes potential energy from its ethereal state into perceptible forms.
I don't understand how, but back then it only seemed like a cheap parlour game. The Magician holds a wand for the element of fire, and his table is laid with the remaining suits, swords, cups and coins, symbolising the elements of air, water and earth.
These cards are a load of rubbish.
Fair enough, I can only show you the door. It is you who must open it.
Go on, let's find out how bat she really is. Sounds like a deal of arcane tomfoolery, but go ahead.
I'd hoped for more enthusiasm. Now, here's where it gets serious. Minotaurs are magical creatures, and like this magician, you have the same honour of being a conduit. I had to destroy the grimoire long ago, but I committed the spell to memory, and I'll share it with you today, but only with your promise of wholehearted trust.
Okay, Eloise, I know you wouldn't lead me astray. I trust you.
And I trust you, Atticus, because if my superior should learn of this, I'd never wear the habit again. Now, this is a cantrip. You must speak it over and over until it is written across your mind in bold letters.
Her voice drops into a strange, low whisper.
Sight from the fire, hearing from the ether, Smell from the air and taste from the water. Touch down to the earth in another form. Aristotle defined 5 senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing, corresponding to the elements of fire, air, water, earth, and ether.
Oh, I think I understand, except for the bit about ether.
Ether is the energy propelling each heartbeat, the same material in the soul, and the consciousness of all blooded creatures.
Those with proper training and abilities can channel ether into the earthly sphere.
Therein lies the power in the cantrip. The early alchemists failed to identify ether as the 5th element. It's the missing piece required to transmute energy into matter.
I'd forgotten how much Heloise taught me. Ether is tied to hearing, so first you must learn to listen. You must hear the winds and the wilds of the heavens.
Oh, this is becoming a mite too airy-fairy for yours truly.
I see where the night is getting on. Oh, sorry. I see the night is getting on. What about the rest? Try to remember. So we know this is the low one. So let's pick this one next to it. 6. It's a pass. We only needed a couple.
I held my hands over the tarot cards and we sat quiet until I heard a voice like an oral mirror. Words all jumbled as if I was speaking backwards. Then I felt my lips moving, and when I opened my eyes, we were breathing the words of the cantrip in unison.
Well done. Moving right along. Alright, so next memory then. Where is it? Up here? Snyder.
When midnight strikes, I'll be 13 years of age.
Father Franco keeps the orphanage funds in his private office. That's my ticket out of here. We could stealth, sneak past Snyder. Only 40% chance. We know where the low one is, though, or a low one. Let's try this one this time. Hey, it's high enough. Just exactly what we needed.
Quiet as a ghost. Now I better make for the office where they keep the coin. There's enough here to get me started on my own. Pay dirt. I'll put 100 leagues between me and the Sacred Heart.
What was that? Sounded like it came from the hallway.
The house is roused. I'd better make my exit. Someone's coming. My only way out is through that window.
There's a voice in the corridor, but it's too dark. I can't make out a face. Is it, Eloise? What you did here, it hurt the Sacred Heart. We fell behind. We skipped over holidays and knitted clothes for the children. But it didn't happen like this. She didn't catch me in the act.
The memory's been twisted by guilt.
I'm sorry, Eloise, but I had no other choice.
There's always a choice, my child, and there's still a way to make it right.
We have to click on the window. And that's the end of the demo. Daylight streams through the window in your garret. You must have slept a long time. Woken from the tremors of a terrible gin hangover, the masked stranger gave you an ultimatum last night. Recall a few of your childhood memories, or take a deadly dose so the stranger could collect the bounty on your head. You sailed back to the Sacred Heart Orphanage on an opium dream, but the images swim away from you now in the sleepy dawn. Today you must return to the orphanage and see if your mother's name is still on file. If it is, then you have a chance to save her from the mental institution where she is held. As the fates whisper about where you are headed, one thing is certain. There are parts of your past that refuse to be left behind. The end. For now. So we go, the end of the demo. And yeah, I like the improvements. There's new content there as well, which is pretty cool. There's some explanation about the tarot and stuff. When I first played it several months ago, you kind of had to pick it up a lot yourself, like what was going on, but it's nice to kind of have that explanation up front now. I think it's pretty cool. It's got some interesting ideas. There's some mystery there. There's some interesting tasks. I like the sort of undercurrent of something evil in London that's been alluded to. Plus we know there's werewolves and so on in this world, so there's all that to kind of get to the bottom of and find out more about. So yeah, really cool stuff. So let's just go back to the main menu for now, but I'll leave it here. So check out the demo for yourselves. There's conversations and paths and different archetypes as well, different ways of playing that I didn't touch on in this video. So by all means, check it out on Steam for yourself. It's well worth a look, in my opinion. And I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this one for the final release when it comes. So thanks very much, and I'll hope to see you elsewhere on Boring Dad Gaming. Do like and subscribe the video, like the video and subscribe to the channel as well. That'd be amazing if you could do so. And I'll hope to see you elsewhere on the channel. So thanks very much one last time, and bye for now.